A lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, are really hoping that doesn't happen.
As we await the release of potentially revealing court documents in the Jeffrey Epstein saga, two names that are circulating in the media right now, former President Bill Clinton and Jimmy Kimmel. We're going to explain and we're going to get into it all with reporter Adam Klasfeld. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Everyone's talking about the list, the Jeffrey Epstein list, right? Because at the time of this recording, we are awaiting the release of all of these court documents, potentially identifying over 150 names associated with the convicted sex offender. Now, remember, the deceased financier may have died by hanging himself inside of his jail cell in August of 2019 as he was awaiting trial on charges of sex trafficking of young girls. But 2008 is going to be an important year because 2008 is when he pled guilty to state charges of soliciting and procuring a minor for prostitution as a way to avoid more serious federal charges at the time. So whoever had a connection or interaction with Epstein after that time, going to be very curious. By the way, we aren't really sure what these documents will show or the context within which these names are listed, but to take a little bit of a step back for a second, the release of all these documents, it all stems from a lawsuit that was filed by an alleged victim, Virginia Roberts. Now she goes by her married name, Virginia Giuffre. But she claims that Epstein and his co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell, set her up to be assaulted by various men, including, she says, by Prince Andrew, the Duke of York. Well, Maxwell, she was convicted of child sex trafficking in 2021. Now, she's currently serving a 20-year prison sentence out in Florida. Roberts sued Maxwell for defamation in 2015. The case was ultimately settled, but media outlets requested that the documents involved in that case be made public. Well, Judge Loretta Preska of the Southern District of New York decided that the dozens of names connected to Epstein and Maxwell will be, quote, unsealed in full. That's not just victims. It could be friends. It could be alleged associates, employees, more. So the judge gave attorneys for the John and Jane Does until basically the new year to reach out to the court and explain why their names should not be released. There is reporting right now. We haven't been able to fully confirm it at the time of this recording, whether or not one of those people has been able to extend the deadline for when their names can be retracted and whether or not that is going to delay the release of these documents. But one of the biggest names expected to be released is that of former U.S. President Bill Clinton. So we're going to get into that. But also, in a strange turn of events, New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers is making headlines for insinuating that Jimmy Kimmel may be one of the names on Epstein's list. To sort this out, I want to bring in right now Adam Klasfeld, senior legal correspondent at The Messenger. And you may remember that Adam used to work here at Law&Crime, has been following the Epstein saga for a while. Adam, good to see you. Happy New Year. Very festive in your red sweater. I appreciate that. Always good for all of our viewers to see it. First of all, you and I haven't spoken about this big news about the idea of this list coming out. What's your overall take on it?
Right. Well, it's something that we've seen over the years in the Epstein saga, that more sunlight comes as the litigation to unseal all of this proceeds. I think one of the last times that we spoke about Epstein, Jesse, we spoke about this very subject because this has been longstanding open records litigation over the fate of the 150 names. Now, Judge Preska hadn't actually issued the ruling making all of it public at the time, but the existence of these names have been around for a while, that it was known to include 150 names, and that some of the names were, as you noted, the victims. Some of them were people who are described as affiliates. Some of them are described as alleged perpetrators. And the existence of this list of Jane and John Does has been around in anonymized form for more than a year now. So we have a basic idea of them. There's, you mentioned earlier that there's some reporting that Bill Clinton, former
Yeah.
president, is on the list. And there's an interesting detail about that. ABC News reported that he is the person identified as John Doe 36. So a little bit of a spoil alert there. The list, what we know about John Doe 36, if anyone's expecting something very damning from there, they're probably going to be disappointed, because John Doe 36 is described on the list as an alleged affiliate. And there are people on the list who are described as an alleged perpetrator. He's not one of the people who is described that way. So that's one of the kind of broad overview reads on it.
Let's talk about that. So John Doe 36 is listed in more than 50 of these court filings. That's my understanding. We also know that the reason he was John Doe 36, Bill Clinton, was listed in this is because Giuffre's lawyers wanted to subpoena him for a deposition, right?
Yes, I believe so. So these are all people, as you mentioned in that great introduction, this is an extension of a litigation that Giuffre brought against Ghislaine Maxwell. This was a civil case that predated the criminal case and in some ways instigated the criminal case, because, as you might remember, once they entered into a settlement, the court record was sealed by the late Judge Sweet, and this was all made public through litigation, mostly spearheaded by the Miami Herald and Julie K. Brown, that she has been, and the Miami Herald have been pursuing this over the years ever since then. And the flood of information that came out built up public pressure. And who knows whether we would have seen the prosecutions of Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell if not for the fight to make records public from this very case. This is an extension of an open records fight that has been going on for roughly half a decade now. So that's really the backdrop here.
By the way, we're talking so much about Jeffrey Epstein, and we're talking about the lawsuit that prompted all of this to happen. But thinking of lawsuits, when it comes to personal injury lawsuits, whether you're hurt at work or an accident, whatever it may be, Lahaki Giordano is a law firm that is a heavyweight in the industry. They're not just legal experts. They win all these different kinds of injury cases. They have a track record of recovering over $1 billion for their clients. I mean, they have over 250 years of combined experience. They've won over 100,000 cases. You can check them out at Lahaki Giordano at ponlahaki.com/LC Sidebar, or by picking up the phone and calling them at 833-669-4043. And to be clear about, with respect to Clinton, though, Giuffre never said that he engaged in anything illegal. She never observed him engaged in sex with minors. She did say, though, that he visited the island, and there's some back and forth. And by the way, we're talking about the Little St. James Island, Epstein's Island, where much of this abuse occurred. But there has been evidence suggesting he was on the island. He wasn't on the island. What do we know about that?
We know that he denies ever having been on the island. We know that he has appeared on flight records, as has former President Trump.
Right.
We know that the flight records show him visiting various locations. That former President Clinton says that this was in connection with the Clinton Foundation and philanthropic work. We don't know a lot of. As you said, the court record is a lot more broad than we publicly know about, and so his dealings with Jeffrey Epstein were the entire in terms of what Giuffre says that she witnessed. A lot of this has been under seal ever since the existence of this settlement. So this is something we're going to learn a lot more about her allegations about Jeffrey Epstein, to be sure, but also what she says that she witnessed in the years that she was taken under his orbit.
So, and just to be clear, Clinton's representative said that he cut off contact with Jeffrey Epstein in 2005, even before the 2008 plea deal, even before the charges, obviously before 2019, before everything came out with the sex trafficking charges. The flight logs don't indicate that Clinton had been at the island. There was, I think, one witness, somebody who was running a tourist shop at St. James Island, who said that they saw Clinton there. What I'm interested in knowing from these documents, is there going to be anything that indicates that former President Bill Clinton was in contact with Jeffrey Epstein after 2005 that would contradict his story? And is there anything that puts him further on the island or on the plane? Any idea of whether or not we'll see that and how it could be explained away?
I tend to be reluctant to try to predict what we will see or what we won't see. I think we're going to find out the answers to those questions very soon. And I think you laid out what every journalist will be looking for in those documents once they're made public, that this is, that there is a long public record of people saying where they were, where they weren't, when and at what times. And I think that you laid out the fault lines there, and that is something that is going to capture the world's attention once these documents are released.
I want to move on now to, of all people, Jimmy Kimmel, because this one came out of left field. So let me provide a little bit of context here. There was during an appearance on the Pat McAfee show, New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers, he seemed to insinuate, that's the best word I think I could use, that Jimmy Kimmel was going to be among those named on the Epstein list. Let's play this.
A lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, are really hoping that doesn't come. If that list comes out, I definitely will be popping some sort of bottle.
Now, again, I have no idea what he's talking about, but Jimmy Kimmel was not very happy with this. So Jimmy Kimmel posted on X, Twitter X, still never going to get it right. Dear a-hole, again, referring to Aaron Rodgers. Dear a-hole, for the record, I've not met, flown with, visited, or had any contact whatsoever with Epstein, nor will you find my name on any list other than the clearly phony nonsense that soft-brain wackos like yourself can't seem to distinguish from reality. Your reckless words put my family in danger. Keep it up, and we'll debate the facts further in court. Now, that is a clear legal threat to take legal action in my eyes. I mean, using the word reckless specifically. Have we ever heard of Jimmy Kimmel's name associated with Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell?
I've been following this case for a long time. I've never seen it. I've never heard of it. I've also certainly heard a lot of conspiracy theories about random people who folks try to discredit by alleged association with Jeffrey Epstein. So in terms of, one of the things that gives a lot of allegations mileage is that Jeffrey Epstein knew a lot of powerful people. Hearing testimony during the Ghislaine Maxwell trial that from victims of Ghislaine Maxwell saying that they remember seeing pictures of Jeffrey Epstein with a pope, seeing Jeffrey Epstein with Cuban leaders. He's been connected with 2 U.S. presidents, as we discussed. So the kind of idea that you spout out any famous name and it might sound at least plausible gives some people license to just spout out whatever name, and that might be what's going on with Aaron Rodgers right now.
And by the way, I can't emphasize this enough. If we take away anything from this conversation, this is what you should take away. When the documents come out, do not automatically assume that person engaged in something illegal. Do not automatically assume that person was involved in Jeffrey Epstein's alleged sex trafficking network. That's what I am concerned about. That's why I think the reporting after this list comes out or after these documents come out is going to be so crucial, because it could effectively ruin people's lives. Their very association with Jeffrey Epstein, it's so radioactive. It's so toxic. That's what I'm worried about. And that's why I think the reporting here, Adam, is going to be just so crucial.
Absolutely. And to go to your point, Jesse, so many of the names on this list are names of folks who say that they're Jeffrey Epstein's victims.
Right.
So not only are there people who are complete innocents on this list, there are people who say they're survivors. So this is not a list of ignominy or anything like that. There are people who are total bystanders. There are people who are victims. There are people who are alleged to have been perpetrators. But there needs to be the work of careful reporting to sift out the facts from the fiction as we go into this information that's about to come out.
We shall see. Adam Klasfeld, thank you so much. Appreciate it, sir.
Thank you. Always great talking to you, Jesse.
All right, everybody, that is all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Thank you so much for joining us. Please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. Speak to you next time.